Hello, everyone, and today I'm very happy to welcome Jessica Janusz, who's lived in Luxembourg for about 4 years, and in that time, amongst other things, has created Anusha. Jessica, thank you so much for joining us in RTL today. And we were meant to meet up in person, but still these Zoom conferences continue. So firstly, how are you?
Thank you for having me, Lisa. I'm doing really good, actually. Yes, despite all the things going around, the virus and everything, I'm feeling very centered and grounded.
Well, we're going to get to a lot more and dig into that. But first of all, can you tell us what Anusha is?
Yes, so Anusha is my digital studio, and it used to be an offline studio as well, that does yoga and mindfulness and meditation centered around empowering others. So this is something that I created about after a year of being in Luxembourg, because as I moved here, I felt myself very lonely. I couldn't really find a community that felt safe and felt like a home away from home for me. And basically, what Anusha stands for is growing up for me. I grew up in Chicago, and it wasn't always, the easiest external reality. And growing up, I had an aunt, and her name is Anusha, and I still have an aunt. She's still here with us, and she always taught me that everything is possible. And she was always that person that believed in me before I believed in myself. And throughout growing up, she told me one day, you will leave this and you will take that step forward to see that there's a different reality other than this. But until you take that step forward, you won't realize what is out there. And it was her words and her belief in me that really gave me the courage to step outside of what I knew, everything that I knew, to really the complete unknown, and not knowing anyone, not knowing anything on the outside, to discover that different realities are possible for me, and different realities are always possible if you step out of what you know. And it was this person, this belief in myself, that realized that power that can have. And so Anusha is that person for the community. The Anusha is connection, it's community, it's authenticity, and it's really someone that is there for you, that believes in you, maybe before you believe in yourself. Whether that is something that you're going through that's small, like a little stress hiccup, or something bigger like a burnout, or you're ready to make a big life change. And we kind of encompass this whole empowerment around meditation and yoga and mindfulness practices. That's
Thank
kind
you.
of the gist.
No, that's a wonderful description. I'm sure your Aunt Anusha must be very proud to see how her name has flourished in a place she probably didn't quite know where it was on a map when she was talking to you as a young child. Now, just digging into Anusha, as you mentioned, it's an online platform initially. So you had created this before the COVID-19 crisis, and you were therefore very well set up for what has become a situation of weeks and weeks of quarantine. How have you seen your business change during this time?
Yes, good question. So first we did have the physical studio, and we were mixing online and offline. But now, since the whole quarantine has come into effect, we were ready. We were preparing kind of actually for this before a little bit, just to transition into a place of online so it's available for everyone. Even if you're not physically there, we saw that when you're really busy, and especially in our community, and you don't have time to do that self-care, we wanted to provide that anytime, anywhere. So when the quarantine came in effect, we just took that to an extra layer, an extra level, and basically provided the space where it's easy to take care of you, whether it's a 30 minutes in the morning, it's an hour practice in the evening, and there's a whole digital library available anytime, anywhere, that people can really have access to it easily without effort, because there's a lot going on in life, as we know, and it's constantly moving, and it's constantly something's coming at us. but we wanted to keep that most important element, which is taking care of you, which a lot of us tend to forget sometimes.
Yeah, life gets busy even in quarantine. When we think about how people have been using online for workouts, obviously for conferences, for communication purposes as well, when we move back into what was our real life, we're transitioning right now. Do you feel your business and your community will also transition, or will you feel there'll be a return to the balance that was of the studio work and the online work? What are you currently seeing?
I'm currently seeing that we are developing a connection online and we are learning how to adapt to this situation. But also, there's so many people in the community that have said, wow, this has helped me save so much time to be able to access it in this way and to also create a safe space from your home, which is really, really a shift that we're seeing, because a lot of times we feel that we need to go somewhere outside to have that safe space, that quiet moment. But what everyone is realizing is that with this, you can have this at home in your own space. You can create this in your own environment. And that is beautiful, because then your environment starts to change as well, rather than you always just seeing, I have to go there for my quiet, my me time. Your me time can be in your positive environment that you create at home with the support of Anusha.
Is something that we've spoken about before, is the sensitive subject of toxic relationships, domestic abuse, and it's been in the news as well during periods of quarantine. There might be people who have been in that situation, and I'm just linking that to what you're saying now about creating a safe space. People in this situation may have lost so much self-confidence and self-esteem that they have forgotten there is a choice to leave at some point. And another arm of Anusha, as you previously said, is that one of creating confidence within oneself. How do you work with women and men who come to you wanting to find a way to empower themselves after being so weakened?
Yes, this is a big thing that is very dear to my heart. And I find it so important, especially in this time and age, because people can feel like they don't have a choice. They have less of a choice than even before. And so, how I work with people is first I listen. I listen to what it is that they actually want. And then slowly, step by step, depending on each situation, we start to work on the root of this lack of confidence or lack of belief in self, lack of connection and trust in self. Because a lot of times in these situations, you feel so broken down, so lost, that it feels like the wrong decision. And especially you just feel paralyzed and stuck in your own space. And our goal is not to push anything. It is to slowly get to the root of why you were in that situation in the first place and start to heal and build this confidence up layer by layer, which, you know, takes a bit of time, takes a bit of trust. And as we develop this relationship, we can see, you know, women and men flourish in using their own voice, finding this connection to themselves that maybe they lost long ago, or maybe they never felt. And as they develop this, their decisions become very different. And as they develop their why of what they want and what they're doing, they start to get very clear on looking at the different choices they're making. And we are here as their support and their guidance.
And when you think about Anusha and its role within the community, again, you've described how you came to Luxembourg feeling quite lonely and isolated. It's a very common feeling for many, many expats, particularly people who come alongside another who have come here for their work. Do you find that you're developing a community of people around you and buoying them up?
Yes, yes, this is huge, because this is such a normal feeling. And the biggest part of the community is a lot of vulnerability and authenticity. So it is a space that we come and you do not have to pretend that you have it all together. You know, you can really voice what is happening. And as you voice, maybe you feel lonely, maybe you feel alone, or especially if you move here and it's a completely new surrounding and you're trying to find your area, learning to be kind to yourself along that process. And that is what the community is providing. It's really a safe space in Anusha that you can come as you are and you can build relationships, you can develop yourself as you ground down here and as you know, start to stand on your 2 feet and develop who you are here. Because sometimes there's a big transition in this as you know, switch from one location to the other.
A lot of your clients, because you are often offering classes online, come from all over the world. Where has been your most distant online client?
We've had India and the US is like the most, yes, and Dubai as well.
And how do they find you?
So I'm quite present on social media. I share a lot of my personal journey on there. I share a lot of work for really opening this space up to everyone, so it's not just limited. And through there, you know, friends share and people tag each other. And this online community is very special because no longer are your words or what you can offer to this world, it's no longer limited to one space. It is on this virtual platform where everyone can see it, everyone can read it, and people who relate all of a sudden have this chance to find you. So social media has been a very powerful tool in, you know, expanding past Luxembourg. And, you know, as you share something, someone relates and they will, you know, include a friend in it and include a family member maybe who needs to hear that that day. And all of a sudden this community grows further and further. So it really becomes a global together, you know, community.
What was that switch point in you? Because to share something honest or of oneself on social media or on any platform requires a lot of confidence. You have to make an internal switch to say, okay, I'm just going to be brave and bold and say it as it is. And some people can't do that. Was there a day when you thought, I can do this? Or was it because you were away from all of your family and friends and so alone that you were reaching out into the ether, talking to the airwaves?
For me, it was more, I had gone through my own journey that was, when I moved here, it was a struggle. And I realized that I wanted to become the voice that I needed because that I don't feel that I was the only one. And at one point, I had to get the courage to say the things that I needed to hear in that time. Because during that time, when I was going through that challenge, and everything that I share, everything in my work, it's through really a personal learning as well, engraved in that, I realized that keeping this to myself is a disservice to, you know, to others. And, you know, just took one step, one time. I remember I spoke, actually, I gave a speech in front of a group of women, and I said these things that I had been scared and shameful of saying out loud because, you know, maybe I'll be judged or maybe I'll be seen in a certain light. And the moment I said those words, I realized there was a huge release off of my shoulders, that I can finally really show who I am and be proud of this journey. Maybe it wasn't always, you know, the most beautiful, maybe it was messy as well, but I can be proud because it made me who I am today, and it's brought together the work I do today. And the moment I said that, I realized this release, and I realized that in sharing our stories, we don't have to see that as being small or weak. We can see that as strength. And from this, you know, from this one time that I took that one step to share, all of a sudden the whole community, this whole group said, me too. And I've been scared to say that out loud. So sometimes I do, you know, I still hitting that publish button is scary. It's not that it goes away all of a sudden, you know, I still feel fear in sometimes publishing something, but I know that this is bigger than just me. And I know the more that I share my vulnerabilities and my stories, that it allows other people to be themselves too. And of course, there will be people who judge and take it in a different way, but that isn't my problem. That doesn't have to do with me. That has to do everything with them. And my purpose here is to share my voice and to share my story to help others feel less alone and to heal in their own journey.
And so when you look back on the success of Anusha and you look forward into it developing into a new way, I know on your website you have retreats and things which are probably out of the picture for this year. What are you hoping to establish in the next 6 months and years to come?
So in the next, in the future, we are really focusing on establishing the community further. We are branching out as well to helping younger women as well who are developing, in their life. So we are really developing in looking at how we can develop the community further, how we can really grow the community and establish these kind of points to serve them. So everything we do is very much in a co-collaborative approach. So it's not that we always have a year-long plan, but we are listening to the community. We are talking with them on what they need and what they would find helpful. And out of that, then we are using that to develop and expand. So everything we do is centered around the community. So over the next 6 months, our plan is to really focus on the community, grow and build them up and nurture, because we know as well the more that we nurture, that we really help other people rise up, the more we can rise up together. It's not something that we want to do alone.
Jessica, thank you so much for your time. We wish you, your team of wonderful instructors, a fantastic 6 months ahead as we all crawl our way out of this coronavirus. We don't know if we're going to be hit by a round 2 yet. It's an unknown future for us all. I know also that meditation and affirmations are very important for you. So for our RTL Today community, have you got an affirmation for us or a mantra that we should keep with us as we move forward into the summer?
Yes, the one that I use very often in class that I also personally use every day is, it is safe to let go. It is safe to let go. It is safe to let go. And what this really means is that, sometimes we really have this kind of idea of how things should be, how, perfect they need to be and whatnot. And it's really about letting go to let yourself feel, letting go to let yourself be in whatever is, and just to become aware of that. Because the moment you let go of this agenda that you have, new possibilities can be created and new things can come up.
Well, on that wonderful note, I am going to think about that as I return to my youngest daughter, who may not have finished her day's work, but it is safe to let go. So
the kids might not all go to Harvard now. They might not all make it to Harvard, but we are all doing the best we can. We are all doing the best we can, and it might not be perfect. It might be messy, but it's life and we gotta love it. We gotta embrace it all.
And mentally they'll be much more secure. Oh, maybe.
Fingers crossed.
Jessica, thank you so much for your time. And I know we'll see much more of you online in the Luxembourg community and globally. Take care.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for having me.